and welcome. Today, I have the second time to the mental breakdown is Robert Habibi, who is an experienced life coach and likes to ask me the questions. But he does talk a little about his own life. We talk about the self-concept we have, a self-actualization, how these are formed early in our lives, when we're growing up. Interesting talk. We talk deep, and I hope you enjoy it. All right, here we go.
Okay,
All
good.
right. Okay. All right.
We're on.
We are on. We're ready to go.
We are on, and you are always on, aren't you?
Always on, turned on, ready to
Tell
go.
me, I'm just curious,
Yeah.
how in the world were you able to have a 6.5 hour interview with Peter Wall?
Is that that's the if it were anybody else, it would be possible, or was it necessary to tag that at the end of the line? Like, how could you have a 6.5 hour talk with Peter
Well,
Wall of all
well,
people,
no. It
or just
wasn't.
in
I'm sorry.
general? Well, because I had a
It,
longer one with multiple people when I had like a 3.5 hour one, and then one of my friends were calling me, and then I brought him on too, and then that was a little longer than that. But good question. I just do it, man. I do it live, do it hard. I could go. I would like to go longer sometime, and yeah, I would like to just go back to back to back. Actually, eventually, that's kind of my goal. I think would be to be like, although eventually, it won't be on. Well, I'm gonna get off like social media and everything, but I wouldn't be against maybe other people recording or something. I just want to talk. I want to have like a just nonstop and then a flow of people. So I'm present the whole time and it's just a flow. And I don't want to, if I'm doing something like that, I want to do it in nature. But I wouldn't be against people recording it at the same time. So no, that's nothing. Easy. No
well,
problem.
I mean,
Boom.
okay, so I
Sitting
guess it's
talking.
it's easy to do if you are talking about anything and everything under the sun. I
Mm-hmm.
think it would be difficult if you were to stick with just one topic.
Yeah. Well, that's not the objective. Not yet. The
Okay.
first case scenario, and now it is because you already used your first time appearance. So everybody gets well, no, you didn't actually, because yeah, we didn't have the right conversation. And even this one, you're going to be asking me questions, which is completely fine actually, because I don't get to explore, or yeah, I like it. But yeah, we still need to do one where we have that unlimited time where we go everywhere, and that's only a one-time thing. And then in the future, when I uh when I have the same guest come, yes, I'm gonna have one specific issue, and then I'm gonna talk to a whole bunch of people. I might even compile just one video. I'm not sure how I'll do it, but yeah, no, that was the one time like unlimited version where basically it starts with my question is, or I state how we met, which is almost the exact same time as you. He started in the summertime right before we started. So he was like there for like 2 months longer. But as a newcomer, it's like he's already there. So I kind of looked at him as the same as anybody there. Everybody else had been there longer. So I kind of had like a more respect for him than maybe I should have as a like I just looked at him as like, well, he was kind of well settled in, smoking a cigar and everything in his office and stuff. So he had that persona of like, wow, this guy's been around. He knows what's going on. But so anyway, my when the question I would ask you, which would basically take you through your whole life, is I said, okay, hey, we met at PSU University teaching English. Like I was kind of just trying to match our stories up. Like, how the hell did you end up there?
My only wish is I had started like 2 days before you did, and then I
Yeah,
would have faked it as well, and you would have thought,
yeah,
man,
yeah.
this guy's been here a long time. I should
Oh
have more
yeah,
respect for him.
I would. Yeah. I remember my parents when they came. Yeah, my dad met you, and he said you're always a charmer. You went over them and you complimented me. You're always a pretty, maybe, not, you say nice
A
things about,
fake, a
generally
phony.
say nice things about nice people. And, not probably true, but still maybe just a good way to just, obviously parents want to hear good things about their son. So, but then he came over to me right after. He's like, wow, that guy said this. He said that, like, he thought you were a real, just the way you held yourself. Yeah. He assumed you were the head of something. And it was, wow, that, so you did.
I could have been ahead. I could have been a
Oh,
contender.
of course. Yeah. 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 I mean, you know who's the head now is, do you know who the head is now? You know who the head of the department
Well,
is?
that
You'll, I mean, you could guess, but it wouldn't be what you'd expect. I mean, it's somebody you
not
know.
Parachon again.
No,
Someone I know.
I mean, someone you know that, I mean, based on seniority, I can understand, but as far as like, I don't, it's got to be a mess. I don't know.
Well, let me guess. Really, there aren't too many people that I kind of remember.
Yeah, I think you'd remember her. She's significant. She's
Oh, her,
kind, but what?
her. You gave half of it, more than gave
Well,
most of it away.
they're
Her.
all the Thai or girl. Are there any men in our
Oh, it's a
department?
Thai woman. Oh, it's a Thai woman. Okay, it's not the foreigners like you
No,
were.
no,
You
no.
were
Oh yeah, no. I think I was the only foreigner head of department.
well, no, there was that guy who got fired because everybody hated
No,
him.
he was under a
Oh,
John.
that's right. That's right. He
He
was
was an
under. You're right.
assistant head department.
He
Yeah,
was
yeah.
the
I was
assistant
the
to
only
the
foreigner
assistant.
raised to that.
That's right. That's right. No, I don't know who she is. Don't tell me it's that Indonesian girl.
No, no, she left actually. She left and started something else.
Oh, yeah. I don't know of
No,
any
she wasn't
Thai.
even in our department. She was in IAC.
I don't even know. Tell me.
John Salanya.
Oh, Solania. Okay, she was nice. She was nice.
She is nice.
She's
She is nice,
worthy.
but I mean, she had. I just didn't see her running the department. It's just
Was
seems.
she the one that had a child?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She brought her a lot in the office and everything.
Brought the office. Okay, okay. Well, I could see her. Is she get a PhD? What happened? She must have.
What? I
Did
think
she
she got
work
a
on her?
PhD. I think she got her
Yeah,
PhD. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, because she would have to.
yeah. Yeah.
Because back then
I just
she
know
had a
there was always. It
master's.
seemed like there's always drama with her with the Thai teachers, and I don't know. There's always things. Yeah, I always got along with her. Um,
I do remember her being a little bit bitter
there was a
because of
lot.
her
There's a lot of
relationship.
weird stuff. I mean, there's weird stuff. I don't know exactly. I don't. We never really understood the Thai side of things, but I remember there was some incident where everybody got a can of candy bar in their box, but only the Thai teachers. But then everyone but her, and it was like a real weird, like some sort of
Well,
message that, and I don't know who did it. Names were never mentioned, so I even feel bad just mentioning names here. But I mean,
well, I mean, you
there's
didn't know
weird,
her
weird
very
stuff.
well, but to be honest with you, CD, as long as we've known each other, I still really don't know you very well.
Sure, no, of course.
I really don't. I mean, I know some things about you, but um,
I don't know myself that well, right? I mean,
you don't know yourself that well. Okay. We're gonna dive. You're gonna do a deep dive.
all right, let's do deep dive. Let's do deep dive.
So one of the things that I like to do, if possible, and I feel much more comfortable doing an audio as opposed to a video
That's
for
fine. Yeah.
short, and that's only because I don't have the experience. And as soon as I started thinking about this being recorded, I became self-conscious. So I'm gonna assume this is not even being recorded, okay? Because I'm not used to that either.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, so I'm just gonna
It's
assume,
gold though.
this is
I mean,
really
everything you
that.
say is gold, and it would be a shame for it to just be lost.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm just gonna assume we're
Okay.
just chatting because that makes me a lot less self-conscious. Again, it's because I don't have the experience of doing it. Once I do get that under my belt, then I'll have no problems with it. But anyway, getting back to doing a deep dive with you and try. Oh yeah, that's small talk. One of the things that I think is important to have is the ability to do some small talk prior to doing a deep dive.
Okay.
I've noticed that in lots of really good speakers and politicians, and just really anyone who is a presenter. I've noticed that they spend the first couple of 3 minutes at least. And I've seen this personally, when I was working in corporate America, they would bring the head of some, or actually the head of the company.
Mm-hmm.
And And I would notice that he would just do some small talk, some jokes, something not so serious at first,
Uh-huh.
and then get into it. And I saw that repeatedly. So that's something that I actually like to. Well, that's kind of like what I was doing, actually.
Okay. I'll
Whether you believe it or not.
I'll I'll go. Yeah, I
Okay,
can
so okay,
go
so
with
so
some small
again,
talk. Small talk. We don't have
one
to
of the things that one of the things I would like
shallow
to
talk before the deep dive.
okay, one of the things that I would really like is to really get to know you better, um, and it's kind of difficult because maybe you're a little bit of a private person, or you're more in the intellect, you're more into the logic. You're because I think the real person has to do more with our feelings and our emotions and our fears and our concerns and our hopes and dreams. That to me is more the real person than it
Mm-hmm.
is their intellect. You know what they've learned, what they could spew. I shouldn't say spew. What they could talk about intelligently.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so we haven't really had those heart to heart talks. Um, and that's why you get to know someone much better when you're in a foxhole. When you're under dire straits, because that's when the real
So martial
person
arts
comes
is for.
out.
That's what you get in wrestling and MMA. Blood, sweat, and tears. Those are my blood brothers and stuff. Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
well, no,
I have a
well, that's
good
a
connection.
bonding for sure. That's a bonding, but I still think that's not quite the level that I'm talking about. Um, but there's something to it. Yeah, I mean, well, foxhole. I mean, when you think you're gonna
Oh,
die.
you think you're gonna die, so you pour out all your
Yes, yes.
dark
Whereas in an MMA
thoughts.
fight, the odds are not that great. I mean, there's possibility, of course, but it's not like you're competing, and if you have good
Well, it's not
sportsmanship.
about the competition in that case. That I'm talking about the practice, though. I mean, it's not your. I mean, well, I guess okay. Yeah, it's not the aspect. Yeah, not the fear of death, but the. I always say fatigue makes a bitch out of everyone, and it's like whether it's cutting weight in the sauna. I mean, we break down. We break down emotionally.
There
So,
you go.
we get
Okay,
to
that's
see
good
each
too.
other
Yes,
at
vulnerable.
broken,
Yes,
broken.
yes,
So those people have seen me broken. You haven't seen me broken.
yes.
No,
And I'm
that
going to
doesn't.
break you. I'm going to break you today.
So yeah, yeah. They might not get. Yeah, those are less verbal. The bonds that I have with my mixed martial arts and wrestling friends are almost deeper than the words, but they've seen me broken and just emotionally, physically, just down to where you can't go anymore. So there is something. There's humility there, and everybody gets to that point. And if they don't, then they just weren't training hard enough or long enough, um, or something. So yeah, everybody that's close to me, we've both seen each other just in
Right. You see
bitch.
the
Basically,
humanity.
fatigue
Yes.
makes a bitch out of anyone, and yeah, I've been a bitch. I mean, and if you haven't been a bitch and you haven't trained hard enough, for sure, yeah, on that level.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah, no, I mean, but in some ways, maybe that makes it because that might be the only way to break me is physically, starve me. So and food is like anybody, like I've said this many times, that's nothing. Hunger is nothing. It's thirst. And of course, you could one up that and say oxygen, and I do when I hold my breath. That's probably definitely worse than being thirsty. But like, man, being thirsty, cutting weight, that last 24 hours when you cut the water out and are in the sauna, I mean, it just you break.
What
And
about that ice water? That'll break you too, man.
I mean, yeah, I'm able to jump out. I think about it. I think about the Titanic, how shitty that would be if you were in the ice water and you were unable to escape. I mean, but that's like you can't control yourself. In the bath, I'm able to jump out of it. Like nobody has ever forced me to stay in the ice bucket as long as I've had to force myself to be in a sauna. So yes, the ice, if having to stay in ice would be absolutely terrible. Nobody's ever been that cruel to. I don't think there's any benefit to just push yourself to the point that I pushed myself in a sauna. But yeah, I mean, like I said, 2 minutes. I think that's what I'm going for the ice bath, and I haven't done that yet. I haven't timed it, but I'm like at a minute maybe, and I mean that's mental. Nobody's holding me in there. I'm consciously trying to control myself. I believe I can do that in a healthy manner. But the second if it gets too much for me, I jump out.
Well,
and so
the healthy manner is critical here because I have read that after a while, well, it is nature. Nature will eventually make you delusional and think you're actually warm.
yeah,
When you're hyperventilating, not yeah,
yeah,
when you're
yeah, yeah,
hyperventilating
yeah, yeah.
and you're dying
I
from
bet,
basically
yeah, and that
frostbite or cold,
yeah,
you just nature takes over and it
I bet.
warms you. Yeah, so yeah, you got to be careful. You don't want to stay there to the
Yeah,
point where it starts
exactly.
feeling
Yeah,
warm.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I'm. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Right. So anyway, so I would have to break you physically in order to really get to know you. That's an interesting thing you said.
Maybe, possibly.
Um,
Yeah.
some people now, as you know, and maybe we'll even try this today, maybe not or some other time. You know, I used to do life coaching, and some people are very coachable, just like in sports. Some people are very coachable, and just some people are not. Um, so, like I found out myself that I'm not coachable. You know, when we were doing buddy coaching with each other, I just found out that unless the person is really, really good, they can really deep, just get to me somehow. And none of them could. So either I'm not coachable or they just weren't good enough to,
They
get
weren't good
into my
coaches.
skin. Yeah, the coaches that I was because we would have during the coaching. I went through a 1 year program where we would coach each other during the sessions, and we would alternate. We do 5 minutes or 10 minutes with a different person.
Mhm.
Um, and I just found that I just they just couldn't, and I couldn't, and they couldn't bring it out of me. I would just I just had to my shield up, or
So is
they
this?
would.
I mean, is life? Are there significant differences between when you say coach? Like, I know you're referring to like life coaching, but I also know you've done sports and American football team sport or anything. Is that? I mean, because I am
It's both.
coachable on team
It's both.
sports. I mean, I've won the coaches award often because I wasn't the best athlete on my team, but I had that like most coaches liked me. I mean, I wasn't they I sometimes I mean I look at that as like the hey tries hard award. Like I got the coaches award often based on my like I'm not trying to please my coach, but I'm like working hard. I don't I do what my coach says. I don't I do
Well,
what
that's
my
just
coach
it.
says. I've always been
It. You're coachable. You're
coachable.
coachable
I think I'm coachable. Yeah. On sport wise,
on a
I'm
sports level. Yes, on a
most
sports,
of
and
my
some
coaches
people
would
are
have
not.
good things to
Some
say about
people.
me as a better as a they'd say I'm coachable probably before I was a great athlete.
Yeah, because I've heard where they say this guy is naturally talented, but he's not coachable,
Yeah, I
and
hear that
so
a lot.
he couldn't
I
be
was
on
the
the team
opposite.
because he would
I
coach
was the
him.
opposite. I mean, sometimes it hurt my feelings because people would say like, if you just had the same something as me, like I often there's people on their team that they would say if you were like me, if you had your physical ability and natural athleticism, but had Chris's or they call me David or whatever they call me back in the day, my work ethic or something, then they'd be better. So that is kind of, I mean, it's a compliment, but in some ways it's basically saying that I'm not, I don't have. I mean, it's kind of gets me down sometimes too.
Ooh. So and how old were you then?
That was all my life. That was in little league baseball. I mean,
Okay,
so
so this
that
is a good
started second
segue.
grade. I mean, that's been my whole life
Okay,
story.
this is a good segue. This is a good segue because we're
Through
talking about self-image,
yeah.
and most of our self-image is, unfortunately, really, very unfortunately,
Made
developed
by other people, right?
well by other people, but developed probably exclusively by other people,
Mm-hmm.
and almost entirely or just about in our childhood
Yeah.
and very very early adulthood when we don't have the capacity to rationalize or think about is this real or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's
And so we develop this self-image that is may or may not be true, and for the most part tends to be negative because people don't usually compliment us as much as they find fault with us. Now some people, if they're lucky, they do find and they have good parents or good coaches or
yeah,
smart or
definitely had.
whatever. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, for most people, their way of encouraging others is more through criticism than it is through helpful, positive feedback.
No, that's interesting. I can say right now though. I would say I mainly did have encouragement and positive feedback, but and it goes yeah, even my parents were wonderful parents, but I do feel and because my middle brother is a genius, uh intellectually, I I never quite had that, but I no, I did. I've always worked hard, so I do. That's right off the bat. That is part of my self image. But the negative aspect is that I'm not naturally talented. So I guess it tells me that I'm. But I've always been encouraged for trying hard and doing everything. I wanted to do everything that both of my brothers did. While one was more athletically, he was more athletic, and one was more academic, and I always strived to meet both of them. And then so that kind of pushed me and motivated me, and I was always encouraged and complimented for effort, more, so that carried on throughout, and that's probably is a
Well, let me ask you, who told you, or how did you know, or what were the circumstances that led you to think that one brother is smarter than you and the other one is more athletic than you?
their choices in although in what
No, how did you
after
come up
school
with that
activities they
idea?
did. I'd say, the one I wanted to be like both of my brothers. I looked up to them. So, one played football and track and stuff, and then like when they did judo, they only did judo for a little while, and then we moved, so judo wasn't available. But I did like karate and stuff. But both of them dropped out of that. And then my oldest brother, he did track and football, and he was decent at football, better than me probably. And then though my the genius brother that I have that's more academically, he was the wrestler. He was the one that got me into wrestling, but he was like a intellectual wrestler. Like he literally, you could see him thinking on the mat, just kind of moving around. He was the one that he was not athletic. Like he did not want to work. I have friends that talk like remember wrestling with him at practice. He would just like lay on him and say, stop moving. The coach isn't watching and stuff. Like he just wasn't, and he hated the conditioning. He hated running. I enjoyed that, and I'd say my oldest brother also enjoyed the conditioning, like football. Football's a lot of conditioning.
But
Rich went out.
but they were older, right? They were older.
Yeah, they're both
So
older than me.
why did you think? Because at that age, you're thinking, well, I'm going to catch up eventually. Why did you think that you never could?
The age difference then is so significant. If I looked at,
Exactly.
yeah, and we were all pretty close. My middle brother's he was a senior when I was a freshman. 4 years from me to my oldest brother, about 2 years apart each one. Now it's like, no, I remember whooping his ass. My middle brother. In my entire growing up in the house, they could always beat my ass, until they graduated. And it wasn't until actually the trip that I ended up here in Thailand, I was over in Korea and I choked my brother out of course I could. I
Well, that's
I
in
was
your
a professional
adulthood.
fighter for 10 years and he's been drinking and stuff, but it's still, to do it, I had to do it. I gave him any
But
position he wanted.
CD,
Yeah.
it's the problem with self-image, in my opinion, is that once it's formed, it's really difficult. First of all, it's formed in childhood. So even though you wanted to choke your brother out,
Mm-hmm.
that self-image had been formed so many years before, and I don't know sure if you still carry it with you or not. But that's the problem with self-image, I think, is that
Well,
it
yeah, no, there's a lot.
stays with us
Yeah,
until
yeah,
we're
yeah.
able to
I'm not,
reprogram it.
I'm not advocating for having a self image at all. Yeah.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
So
But I
anyway,
agree. No, I agree. That's 100%.
I remember I was in, of all things, in the same classroom as my older sister. I was in the seventh grade, and she was, I think, in the eighth or ninth, and it was a French class. It was first, and we're all doing first semester, first year French. And I
Mhm.
don't know why my sister was in that class. Maybe because it was the first time she was taking French. Probably was. And the teacher put us in a rows according to our ability. And I was the first one in the first row. And my sister was the last one in the last row, or way back she was in the last row. I'm not sure exactly where, but
Oh,
she was way back.
so wait, which one and who's? your ability is that you were ahead of her, or
No, other way around. That
okay, other
that
way
she
around.
was like, and when you're, I guess that was like maybe 12. When you're 12 years old, 5 rows back is, it's like way back in the
Oh yeah,
auditorium or something.
yeah.
Um, and she was smart and she became a doctor. But I never got this self-image that she's smarter than me because she was 2 years older.
Hmm.
And I always thought I could catch up to her. So that's why I'm asking you. Your brothers were, 2 and 4 years older than you, but still you develop this image that they're either smarter or more
No,
athletic than you.
no. I didn't say that. Those they motivated me. I would say I surpassed my oldest brother in athletic ability. And I thought that was actually no, that's actually something I didn't come to the actualization that, and I know you could challenge me on this, but I mean, my middle brother is literally a genius. He's yeah, you can say, oh, that because you're telling yourself that. No, I told myself my entire life that I actually, it's the opposite. I thought that I was as smart as him, and I was trying to do. I worked so hard. He was valedictorian. I worked so hard thinking that that was my natural ability would be to be a valedictorian too. I studied extremely hard. I worked really hard. I took all the math classes. I finished AP calculus my junior year, and but I worked so hard at it. I did like that SATs. I got like 1310 and everything. He had 1590. He missed 1 point on the language. Same thing with ASVAB and everything like his. And he never did homework like I did. Like I'd stay up so late. So like I was working so hard. In my head, I thought that I was as smart as him. I
Okay,
thought
good.
I thought that I was a genius like him. And it wasn't until later I realized like is naturally he's naturally superior to me intellectually. I've accepted that. I mean, you could challenge that, but no, that I never thought that I couldn't be as good as him.
Well, what about now? Your self-image of yourself when it comes to intelligence.
Above average, not I mean like maybe top 10%, which is
Okay.
pretty good.
Wow,
I
that's
think I go
that's
into
pretty damn good.
I mean,
That's
I
excellent.
think that's
Actually, that's
legitimate.
not good. That's excellent.
I mean, it is, but it's like, not any like if I were in a classroom, I was never the smartest, but maybe, in the top three in a classroom of 30. I think I was always in the top three in a classroom of 30. But
And you think had you gone to some of the better schools like Harvard or Stanford or whatever, what do you call it, Cambridge, you would have been in the top, whatever top 10%.
maybe I mean, I obviously that's more, you're more likely to get higher. I mean, I mean, if you take all the top 10% and put them in a room, then I might be more in the middle. But I mean, you might rise to the occasion. I mean, they would push me probably if I have smarter people around me, they'll probably push me to be smarter. But I mean, no, I mean, if you take the cream of the
You
crop,
don't have to be modest. You don't have to be modest. This is the self-image you have.
yeah,
This is
no,
subconscious.
I mean, that's a whole different. Uh, I don't think I'm always going to be the top 10% in any room. I'm saying like just random 10 people. Well, I don't want to say that random 30 people, I'll be in the top three. Yeah, do a big, let's say 100 people. You took 100 random people, I'd be in the top 10. There'd be 9 people smarter than me, maybe, or, at the
Of
most.
course, we know that intelligence is not just
Yeah,
one thing.
yeah. No, of
Different
course.
kinds of.
Oh, of course. And yeah, and that would be if you could do, whatever assessment that, if you just did one assessment, sometimes I'd be real low. I'm sure I'm low in some areas and higher in some areas, but just some sort of general intelligence. I mean, it could be just some bullshit questionnaire, or bullshit this, but I mean, I generally do think that I'm intelligent, but I'm not that like that extra, that I'm not genius. I mean, it's like, I've done like IQ tests and stuff. It's like 120 to 130. I mean, that's good, but it's not like it's like kind of on the bell curve. It's like on this side, but it's not like significant deviation away, maybe
No,
one.
I think that IQ test is a horrible thing
Yeah,
because then it's
that's
self-fulfilling
arguable.
prophecy.
I don't. I mean, I think they actually are effective at measuring something. I mean, a lot of it is
I think it's dangerous
pattern recognition.
because if you score high, that's good for you. But if you don't, especially when at a young age, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like, gee, I'm just
Well,
average intelligence. I mean, for most people, depending on age again, but even now, if I were to take the IQ test and it comes back as I'm like 95 or something, I don't know, whatever it comes back as. I don't. The only thing that's going to make me feel good is it comes back as 140.
yeah. I've always kind of been
Otherwise,
disappointed that I
it's
can't
good.
get higher than like 120, 130 is just enough. Like I said, I mean, top 10%. I mean, I was top 10 in my class. Like I didn't get valedictorian, but I was top 10. Like they have a special thing for that. And then, but so it's like, I mean, that is a self identity. I mean, there's no reason why I couldn't be higher or lower, but I have kind of, I mean, I tried really hard, and that's kind of just where, when I give it my all, that's kind of where I fall. I've never felt like I've never been like the smartest, but I'm always just been one of the smartest. And I mean, there's an aspect of like, okay, did I create that or did it create me? I think it's a pretty, I mean,
Well, here,
pretty
knowing
objective.
you, this is what I believe. Your brothers, or maybe you were just born this way, probably a little bit of both, made you very competitive,
Mm-hmm.
and competition drove you to work hard. The success, the desire, or the need, or the want, or whatever, made you realize really that working hard was the solution, was the answer to your success.
Mm-hmm.
And which is true, actually, I believe, for even the most gifted athletes. I mean, if you look at the most gifted athletes, they're the ones that work the hardest.
Uh-huh.
So there's definitely a lot of truth in succeeding through hard work, through effort, through dedication, discipline, whatever means. But that is a good way. I think that's a good self-image to have. Is that I will succeed because I'm going to work hard and I know how to work hard. I believe you have that self-image. Is that true?
I think so, yeah.
So, what are some of the other self-images you have of yourself that you think they just come to the forefront?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it changes, but I'll try to think of one. I mean, I kind of connected to this though. Um, is in and it set me on path on my like athletically in the this isn't that much different than what we've already been talking about, and I may have mentioned it to you before, but when I joined the wrestling team and being a lighter weight, like I was like 112s my freshman year. And so, usually those lightweight classes there usually aren't any seniors that are that good that can take those spots. So I had opportunity for a varsity spot my freshman year. But when you go to tournaments or dual meets, there would often be like a senior that that they're just going to dominate you. And so this kind of goes in where I wasn't expected to win, but if you're familiar with the scoring system, when you have a dual meet or even in a team tournament, you get points for your team based on how you win or lose. And if you get pinned, the other team is going to get 6. You get 6 points for a team. If
Mm.
you just lose regularly, it's going to be 3. And then if you win by 7, it's 4. Win by 5 or more than 15 points, you can get 5 points. But generally, when I was a freshman going out, taking the varsity spot, nobody said go out there and pin your guy. They said just don't get pinned. And so my whole entire concept of wrestling revolved around just don't get pinned. That was like the first
Wow.
advice that somebody gave me, and I never got pinned in 7 years. 4 years in high school, 3 years in college. I wrestled some of the top wrestlers in the States at time, and they mangle me 15-0. And then at 15-0, it's called a technical win, and they finished because they couldn't pin me. And then they just let me up. They give me a 1-point escape, and then they could take me down easily, and they'd get 2 points. So they'd let me up and take me down, let me up and take me down, and they'd end up running up the score to get the technical win because they couldn't pin me. And they now maybe some of those, if they knew that was my like, so
strategy.
Yeah. That was gonna say, so that became my image, and that carried on over to mixed martial arts and just don't get finished. And it went through me. I had 25 fights and nobody ever finished me. Nobody knocked me out. Nobody tapped me out. All my losses were by decision. And then I told myself, you know what? I'm not going to quit until somebody finishes me. And then I did. My last fight, finally, somebody choked me out. And I was kind of relieved to some degree. I didn't, I wasn't, I obviously fought to the end. Although I think, look back, I should have just went out. I should have just went to sleep. It's kind of a bitch move to tap out, I think, from a choke, not from a submission that your arm's going to break. You should tap out. I was like, I should have let him just choke me out. I think it would have been, I kind of regret not just going to sleep, letting it, but it kind of hurt. It was on a throat choke. And so anyway, so it carried on. But at the same time, that is a self-image that definitely carried with me. I do have that mentality, just don't break. I mean, but I have been broken. But I think I have high tolerance on pain, emotional stress, and physical pain.
Before you go there, how has this affected you in your personal life? This thing about not getting pinned.
Absolutely. Oh, it is. I've been in dark spots. Unfortunately, sometimes it may have added to like drug addiction, or my addiction was more of like binging. I'd binge, like when I'd binge, I'd stay up for 3, 4, 5 nights. I think 5 nights I've stayed up for, literally no sleep. And
wow.
Part of that, that part of that was maybe connected to that. So it has a dark side because it's like I want to push myself to the limits. That's obviously has a positive aspect, but if you get into something that's something dark and detrimental, or I mean, I could take it to anything. So extreme, I guess. I'm an extreme. I like to do things to the extreme, take myself to limits. That could be a downfall, could be a positive fall. Definitely, that's a personal identity that I could connect to. That just don't get pinned. There may be other factors too.
Right. Okay. Interesting. So, well, let's just stay with this, because don't get pinned. And you said it carried through 7 years of wrestling, which is a long time at that age.
Yeah, I've never met somebody else who hasn't got pinned in 7. Even the best. I mean, there's state champions get pinned. I mean,
and when I think about that, that's a very defensive way of existing.
It is.
It's not offensive.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That was. Yeah, there was an incident. Another significant incident that happened to me in my mixed martial arts career that may be so here's another thing. In my entire high school career, I mean, a little bit about wrestling, right? Shooting a double is like it's your most basic. There are other little shots, snag singles, high crotches that are kind of more that you do from a tie up. It's kind of a takedown, but it's more of just like a grappling. But just a straight up double leg takedown is like from where you're not actually touching and you just shoot. It takes a lot of explosion. I never shot a double all through high school. Very defensive. Although my middle brother, the one who got me into wrestling, he was very defensive. He never shot either. So I may have carried some of that over. And even the first couple fights I had in mixed martial arts, I wasn't aggressive. I wasn't the go-getter. I was defensive. And it's not bad.
Forget about sports. How is being defensive carried into your personal life?
Okay.
You think?
I mean, okay. I mean, like professionally, one thing I've never done is I've never like put all my cards in on some sort of business endeavor. I put it all in sports. I've been defensive, perhaps. I mean, if that's what we're talking about, defensive in my lifestyle. I want to live a simple life. Like I don't think it's bad. I think about it a lot. I think I'm capable of, being wealthy and rich and stressing, but I do question myself. Like I tell myself that's not what I want, and I do believe it, but I do question it sometimes too. Like, right? Like, I mean, okay, really? You wouldn't want to be a millionaire right now? Like, okay, I would like $1 million, but but in order to achieve that lifestyle, what I see, I see, I can say, am I afraid of failure or afraid of success? I have chosen my whole entire life. Like I was like, I don't want to engage in that rat race style of work. I never, I mean, I worked at some fast food, UPS in college, graduated university, and just, lived in gyms, trained. I even though there, I could have tried to do some business endeavor, try to promote myself, try to get a manager, and I tried a little bit, but I never really went all out trying to make money off being a mixed martial artist. Coming to Thailand, getting into teaching. I mean, even now, like now I'm doing private teaching online. My wages are pretty low. I'm not going all. I mean, I'm only asking for like $25 an hour for teaching. I know there's people out there charging more, but it's like I kind of question like, God, do I really want to go, try to max out on that? It's very defensive. I could easily teach more right now. I'm like, okay, $25 an hour, about 8 students Saturday, 8 students Sunday. I could have my Monday through Fridays off. I'm not trying to maximize my my lifestyles. Like I want to limit stress, want to have comfortable, simple lifestyle. It may be preventing me from ever being having significant amount of excess money.
Let me throw something out.
Okay.
Do you think you're not worthy of charging $50 an hour?
That's a good question. No, I think it is, but it's like, yeah, I do have a hard time asking for more. I guess at some point, this is actually in my mind. I like the concept of the free market. So what I've told all my students right now that I'm actually trying 800 baht an hour, and they just transfer it from their fees, and it's a little less than $25, but depending. I mean, the exchange rate's always changing. Whatever. But let's just say that, and this is what I told them. Now I said, I'll never raise the prices on you, but most of my students are like, 14, I'll be teaching them until they get into university, and then they'll leave, and then I'm just tell them I'm never going to raise it on you, but I'm going to raise my prices when I'll say I want to get to 16. I'm at like 9 students right now, so when I get to 16 students, then I'm locking it. I don't want to take any more students. I like that small amount. I have very personal lessons. I create a lesson plan, a general lesson plan for every student, but I tailor it to each student based on their level and their interests, and that's all I want to do. So this kind of ties into the question now. It's definitely worth more to them than I think they could get somewhere else. But I also like that. I mean, there's something about it. I feel that they know that I like what I'm doing. I'm not trying to maximize. But at the same time, when I get to that 16 students, and then I want to have that. I want to be at the point, like, I guess right now, yeah, I want to get up to that 16 students, 800 baht a week from each one. Really that'll put me in a nice position. And then if I guess I want to be, I want it to be to the point where, okay, now I have more now. And it was interesting because when that company I work for, like they went down.
All right, let me stop you.
Okay, yeah, because I was going to go out often.
For sure. Yeah, let me stop you. Here's what I want to say.
Okay.
Let me ask you one question and just a straight answer.
Sure.
What is the highest you think that other teachers are getting right now by teaching English? $50, $60? What do you think?
Probably 50. I mean, I'm sure there's some that are charging 100 and getting it, but 50.
Okay.
50 right. So I could probably. I think 50 is kind of my target. That once I get to that max level of students, then I can charge 50 because then I'll at least have my. And I want to let them know, hey, you guys have this rate. I'm not going to raise the price on you, but now I'm willing to take on more students. But this is the price. And so I guess,
let me challenge you. Let me challenge you on something.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing consulting work. I was in IT. I had my master's in information technology, and my first job, my first assignment, I was making $25 an hour. This is like 1991, 30 years ago. And then the second one, I got 30. I got 30. It was with Fannie Mae, and Fannie Mae was making a lot of money back then. And then I was talking to some people at Fannie Mae and some of the other contractors. I was just a consulting contractor. I was going independently through some agency. And I found out that they're making 50, 60, and one guy was making 100. Now, the guy was making 100. He had a lot of experience. He's a much older guy. But that led me to thinking, damn, the other guys are making 40, $50. See, that's what I want. Mm-hmm. So after like the 6-month period, which I had signed the contract, I went and said, I want to make more. I want 40. Mm-hmm. And I got 37. And then I left after a little bit. I went to Florida and did some things. And then I got hired by this company working full time for them. But once I finished with that company after 1 year, the next assignment I got was $70 an hour. So my mindset was, I'm going to get the most that this market is willing to pay. Mm-hmm. I didn't get 100 because I still didn't have the experience. Mm-hmm. But so I'm challenging you, CD. If you think you're good enough and you're pretty competitive, why don't you ask for 50 starting with your next student? Why wait till you got 60?
That's a good question. I mean, there's something inside me that is very difficult. It's very difficult for me to even sometimes I'm actually teaching one student for free because when my company that I was working for, they closed down, but they had collected money from some of the students. I have one student. I know he's not. He doesn't come from a wealthy family. He's extremely intelligent. And he got into like the best school in Wuhan province where he's at, or maybe Hubei is the province. I don't know, whatever it is. But he got into the best high school. And I feel like that's a genuine. I can tell that they were hurting for money. They paid like $1,000 or something for all these classes in advance, and then the company shut down. And this is the same story for a lot of them. So I do feel guilty. I mean, it is no. This is. I mean, what you're asking are things I think about a lot. I mean, I'm willing to teach for free. You know what I mean? And people can feel that. Now I know there's people that are willing to pay $100. So it's like it's difficult for me to charge different people different amounts. And that's kind of why I liked working for a company.
You're making excuses. Look, I went from 25 to 70 in less than 3 years. And I think you can go to 50. Now you can make all kinds of excuses if you want, and that's fine. If you just want to teach, it's a self-image. I think that's what I think it is.
Mm-hmm. It is.
It's a self-image.
I do. I feel like I would damage some of the human relationships that I have with some of these students.
Well, no, I'm not talking about future ones, not the ones you currently have. You can stay with
okay, I would like to. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Unfortunately, I already said that. Yeah, well, I want to get to this level. I wanted to stack my schedule up. Now I already said it. Too late. You should have got to me a little earlier.
You are, probably. I mean, I don't know. How do you see yourself? What's your self-image of you as a English teacher relative to just what is
I think I'm the best. I think I'm the best there is.
Okay, all right then. What's stopping you from charging what the highest teachers charge? Going forward,
the students that I enjoy teaching most, I feel aren't financially capable of the students that have that is.
I don't buy that.
No, I mean those those are my best students that I have right now. I feel like if I charged more, that would damage our relationship.
Again, I'm not talking about the current existing ones. I'm talking about if you really believe that you are in the top 1 percentile of English teachers in the world, what's stopping you from charging what you believe you deserve or you're worth? Because you're going to be giving, if you really believe that you are that, you're the Aristotle to Alexander the Great. Why don't you charge those rates? Those people are going to conquer the world. They're going to, get 100 times more than what you're going to get from them. I mean, $50 an hour, that's a joke. I was making $70 30 years ago.
Pyrrho was the philosopher that for Alexander the Great. He actually is the one that brought back Buddhism. That's okay. Anyway, I think Pyrrho and Alexander the Great, and when they like kind of invaded some, the anyway, no. But no, Pyrrho brought back some.
Anyway,
no, you're right. I think, but
I mean, this is not really what I want to talk about.
It is something I battle with. I know I'm worth more and I could charge more, but there is some aspect of like, I mean, it goes back into that defensive mechanism. Like, I'm satisfied with I'm
okay, I'm going to challenge you
to get where I'm at, and it's all I need, I guess. I mean, I feel like that I don't have any debt. I don't have any, like, I mean, but you're right. Why wouldn't I want more money?
Why wouldn't you want? You could use that money to better your life, for your family, for the village. You could use that money not just to hoard it and then put it in a bank account. But you could use it for.
I'm gonna work on that. Doing it. But yeah, it is difficult. I'll have to really meditate on that a little more. But it is true. It is true. I mean, you're calling me out on a legitimate thing. I mean, what is your take on it? Why is it so difficult for me to ask for more money?
Self-image. It's a self-image. You don't think you're worthy of it.
Actually, I know I'm worthy of it. I do, but it's something else. I know I'm almost like.
If you think you're worthy of it, you would do it.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true though. I don't know if
all right. What do you think it is then? Instead of me,
I don't know. I'm asking you. I think it's a fear of something though. There's fear in there. It's fear.
There is fear. What, fear of rejection?
Possibly fear of rejection.
Or fear of finding out you're not the best.
What?
Fear of finding out you're not the best.
I don't know that.
Fear of finding out somebody is not going to value you.
Yeah, maybe fear of somebody losing somebody who's like, maybe that. I know. I guess.
See, I didn't have the fear because I saw the people who were making that kind of money, and I thought, if they can do it, I can do it. So if you can see here's my opinion, if you can see the teachers who are making $50 and even be able to like somehow listen in on them or watch their videos or something and say, damn, if they're doing it.
That is how I got, that's how I taught the yoga class at the university. It was because I was first a student of David, who's an excellent yoga instructor, and I looked up to him a lot. He's amazing at yoga, and then he left, and then so that was what I thought I would have to be that good to be a yoga teacher. And I remember John Palita asking me if I could teach yoga, and no, because I didn't think highly enough of myself. And then we hired in that one guy to teach, and he taught it, and then I took that class expecting somebody at the caliber of David, and then and he sucked, and I was like, holy shit, I could do way better than this guy. And then when he left, he went to Taiwan or something, and then that gave me the confidence to teach that class, teach the yoga class. So
that's what you need. You need the confidence.
I need to see how shitty other people are, maybe, or
yes, you need to compare yourself, because right now, for whatever reason, I just don't think you think you're good enough. Otherwise, you do it. If you had the confidence that, hey,
yeah, I guess it's too. I guess I mean, I've never. Yeah, no, I mean that went the same for fighting. I mean, I fight. I go to Mexico and fight $50 a show, $50 to win. Doesn't even pay for my Greyhound bus ticket to San Diego and getting across the border on a and like, I mean, but I loved what I did, so it's like I never pushed that. I've never been, I guess, and especially like these.
You need to see the competition. You need to see the other teachers in action. That will give you a lot of confidence.
I think it would be. And it was actually like for that Magic Ears company that I worked for, there was a lot of competition to they had it, and I actually never made it quite to the Magic Master. I was about to get to that point, and that company closed down. They had like the different levels, but even that was, I mean, like $27 an hour. Sometimes I was like at 25, and then the senior level, I was like one step away from the master. I was getting, yeah, it was competitive, but I'm glad that I'm not at the same. I mean, I can be competitive without being part. Am glad, and you and Moshe both helping me kind of, that was a big step, going private and dealing directly with the parents. So I guess that's the thing, because that's I guess what really makes it ridiculous is these parents were paying $50 an hour, and they were paying the company that I worked for and so why? I mean, so I know I'm worth it. I know they were paying that much to have me. Somehow I'm a terrible negotiator on. I mean, I wanted to give them, like, okay, now we're cutting out the middleman. I only raised it up, like, actually I was only getting like $20 an hour. So I gave myself a $5 extra for preparing the lessons.
I understand that. I understand that. That was more than a year ago, right?
No, less than a year, but yeah, 6 months, whatever, maybe, yeah.
Okay. All right. So yeah, okay, maybe in another 6 months you'll be ready.
Yeah. No, I like what you're saying. It is, and it would be the new one. So maybe I will. I mean, no, definitely $50, and it would even be more than that. $50, I think, is fair rate. I think I could get more out of people probably, but no, 50 is definitely a fair.
And then when you do charge 50, the student is going to put more than likely more effort into it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think. Well, anyway, so that's that. Let's move on to
Right.
the self-image. What's your self-image of, let's say, your ability to maintain your health?
I have a pretty positive image on that. I sometimes will, let's see, I'm pretty critical on myself if I miss a day of anything, whether it's I do my morning workout, breathing exercises, meditation, yoga, and push-ups generally in the morning. That's just when, if I don't do it then, very rarely do I get to it, and I know that. Of course, I mean, I basically do it before I wake up before my wife and son. So that's when it gets done. Even though I'm coming here, I mean, I could do it in midday. It is hotter. There's all kinds of excuses I can make, but generally, it's for me. It definitely works best. Starts my day off. It's wonderful. There's like no reason, but sometimes I get lazy and I push it back or something, and then I get real critical.
Okay, no, I'm not talking about your self-image. When you think about being able to maintain your health,
mm-hmm.
So the self-image,
okay,
again, it was forged at a much younger age.
Mm-hmm.
So like kids who are sickly,
what?
even when they grow up to be strong and robust,
mm-hmm.
they still have that self-image that comes from their childhood.
Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. No, I have a great self-image.
This is the subconscious mind, because when the self-image is there, as all subconsciousness, or all subconscious thoughts, or basically our subconscious is there so that we don't have to be constantly thinking. It's basically running our lives so we don't have to be always busy with everything we do. Like, when you're first learning to drive a car, you got to be focused on the steering wheel, the brakes, the clutch if it's manual, the mirrors, the traffic lights. I mean, you're just so focused.
Mm-hmm.
But after a few years, you drive somewhere, you don't even know how you got there. Mm-hmm. And that's the subconscious basically driving you there. It's taking you there. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's so powerful, is because a lot of times we don't even know what's in that freaking self-image or self-conscious that's running us. Mm-hmm. And so it determines really our lives until and unless we become aware of it. So for example, in my case, um, I was almost my height as I am now, and I was like playing football, and I was like 135 pounds, 140 pounds, um,
Good to me.
which was pretty small
But
for
yeah,
the
yeah.
time, and of course this is many years ago. It's like, gee, 50, almost 50 years ago for me, um, and so, but I maintained that self image of being like thin, and I've always wanted to be heavier. Um, Now, actually, I did get heavier later on, like in my senior year.
Mhm.
Got to like, actually, I'm the same weight now as I was in my senior year. Like, it was about 157, 8, 160 around there. Um, but, that self image was forged when I was a freshman
Yeah.
and sophomore. And so, um, it stayed with me that I am I guess a slim, a thin person. Even though I did eventually at some point get up to like 180 pounds, which was way too much for me. But I always wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to be big for whatever stupid reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's why when I ask you what's your self image, it's not like what you want now or
Sure.
how. It's basically how you your perception of yourself that was probably set many years
Yeah.
ago.
I mean, generally, I mean, generally, I think I'm pretty cocky in most areas. Like I am from healthy, like I, I have a over. I mean, that would be my downfall. More would be over cocky. I definitely I
Okay.
let infections go too long because my body. That's the way my mom raised me. Is like it'll heal on its own. When I get sick, I mean, I never went. She never took us to the hospital. She just drink water and lemon honey tea or something. Just
Okay. Good. Well, that's good. That's
just beat it
positive.
off.
That's very positive. That's very
So I've always had the mentality that I can beat everything. I mean, I don't care about any, but yeah, I didn't care about any sexually transmitted disease. I never wrapped up because I'm like, it ain't gonna get me, and it never did. But I don't go. I mean, I have that mentality. So I mean, it's reckless in some ways.
good.
I feel I'm
Yeah.
invincible.
Well, it was reckless maybe when you were much younger, but now it's probably a good thing. When I got COVID, I had the same mindset as you. I hardly ever got sick as a kid, and even in my 20s and 30s and 40s, I never got sick really, just a regular cold.
Mhm.
Um, and so when I did get COVID and I had to go to intensive care units, not for a second did I think that I was is this was serious or nothing was it was only going to be positive.
Yeah,
And I was in there for 9 days. And had I been worried, I think I would have made myself a lot worse. But I had,
sure.
for whatever stupid or crazy or wonderful reason,
Yeah, wonderful, right?
no fear or qualm about myself getting better.
Yeah,
And I think that really
not
helped.
getting better. Yeah.
So that is that. I think so that's good self image that you hold.
Yeah. My
Um,
mom was always homeopathic in a non medical intervention. I don't think she's ever been to the hospital for anything and stuff. I mean, it's like
that's great. That's great. Um,
get that on.
so let's see. Self image regarding what else could there be besides? Well, how about relationships? Um, um, what's your self image regarding your ability to be in a not with your spouse, although that could
That's
include that as well,
probably most.
but with everyone, your ability
Yeah.
to uh, get along and work with people.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll try to answer that from a self um image that would have came early on, and it came on because I went to many different schools in my early uh age. I went to different schools, not just different schools, but actually completely different locations from Southern California to rural Pennsylvania to kind of Oregon, country, Northern California. From kindergarten was in LA, very multicultural, all these things, and then went to rural. Uh, so my group my groups are different, and I had to get along with. I mean that's a kind of a make or break situation. I say it would have made me. I was able to There's some competition there. I knew I had to win people over, but I had to balance it to being the teacher's pet. I was a little bit of a teacher's pet because I was studious throughout school and respectful to the teacher. And usually in those younger ages, that can also play negatively because out at recess, you're going to get bullied a little bit more. But I was able to balance that and not again, not I feel like I was always able to, I mean, there was, sometimes I get bullied by people who are a little jealous of this newcomer but for the most part, I feel like I was able to win my class over generally. Like, okay, I looked at being the new kid as being an advantage and interesting. People were interested in me. And if you, it made me not shy. So it made me an extrovert, whether that was already although lately and I've become more introverted, just, that has changed. I mean, it is important the difference between like socializing and now because I have a family and my wife is more introverted, but also we're living way out in the jungle. I am more like now I don't really care about other people or interacting. I do actually. I love these podcasts, but these are mainly maintaining my relationships that I always have had or already have had. I'm not trying to make new friends, and my focus is on my family. I don't want to get too much on a tangent from your question, but so my early self-image was I have to win these people over, and I generally think I was able to do that, but it was always a difficult balance of being cool and being respectful. So I do, and I think you can notice that about me sometimes. I mean, I try to be kind and respectful, but at the same time, I do have a little bit of sometimes I've got to break that. I can't be too. I feel like it's unauthentic if I'm only sensitive and all like I so yeah, there's a balance of stuff. I don't know. Yeah, that.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so all right, so you believe that that moving around and your desire to, I guess, to fit in.
Yeah. I definitely had to. I mean, I wouldn't say I was. I was me. Yeah, fit in, but I wasn't. I mean, I was. I wouldn't say I just followed people around. I mean, I tried to. It was through competition. I tried to be the best in the class. Again, yeah, every class I went into, I was quickly recognized as, okay, this is one of the top students in the class. And there'd usually be, maybe sometimes there's a student that was the smartest and there'd be competition. And then sport-wise too, I'd probably not maybe top 20%. I generally was more athletic than average, but I'd probably say I was more, academically, I was more recognized growing up than sport-wise. I was never really recognized as like athletic.
Wow.
Well,
CD, it's interesting because you're definitely an extrovert, and you were very tuned in and aware and observant of all the other kids. I was not. I couldn't give a damn about any other of the kids in the class.
Mm-hmm.
I was very much introspective, very much shy, very much an introvert, and the other kids didn't mean anything to me. I never. I mean, I somehow knew, this guy was a little bit smarter than the other kids in the class, maybe, but it didn't bother me. It didn't matter to me. But it's interesting to see your perspective. It's interesting to see how you were configured, I guess, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, I did feel the win. I had to win these people over. If I didn't win them over early, then I actually, so I guess I did have a concept of self-image at that time, because I remember thinking maybe there was a time when I didn't like I feel like that's that first day of school when you're the new kid, and it was a big deal, especially rural Pennsylvania and stuff, like a new kid from California, like, I knew I had to, that was like, I get one chance kind of to like make a name for myself. And I don't know. Yeah. There was definitely. So I don't know how much of that was inherent in my DNA and how much of it was like I was pushed because of my situation. I mean, it could have easily pushed me in a corner and been frightened, but I did feel a need to prove myself. There it is. Prove I have always. Yeah. I do feel the need to prove myself.
Why is that?
Um, probably maybe the older brothers to being. I always felt competitive with them just for, I don't think I was, I just want to be, yeah, I want to aspire to be, I don't know, the,
Let me look at you. You aspire to good. Let's segue into this.
okay.
What is your self-image regarding what you're destined for?
I mean,
The self-image that you have cultivated as a kid, basically, which is still running there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
What did you cultivate or imagine or visualize that you're destined for?
I mean, honestly, I'm pretty, I mean, so I don't know when it started. I mean, definitely living in Asia was quite early. I had an attraction to Eastern philosophies at a very young age, as long as I can remember. Yeah, I don't remember not having uh, an attraction to that. So it was definitely. I mean, I feel I'm kind of doing. What I'm doing right now is just in an abstract way what I was um looking for. I mean, yeah, I mean, I
Grooming yourself?
what's that?
Grooming yourself? Preparing yourself?
Um, wait. So what's the question exactly?
I said, when you were a kid, I mean, all kids have this image or dream or they visualize what they would hope to achieve. Now, of course, some of it they know is like, becoming a professional baseball player or an astronaut. But besides that, although some people actually do achieve that,
Mhm.
um, but what did you imagine
It was
yourself
well, it was an
destined?
amusement park when I was little, but I think I wanted to have an amusement park, and in a way, that's what I'm doing here. But it's what it's not roller coaster ride. I mean, when I was a kid, I mean that's what I wanted. I wanted to create. I mean, yeah, they're ridiculous. I actually wanted to have an amusement park for cats because I love my cat. I want to have an amusement park, but you could bring your cats there too. And I actually thought like cats would like roller coaster rides and stuff. So like, um, but I always wanted to create this like just this fantasy land for people. But in my image at that time was what I wanted was just roller coaster rides and everything. But I think what I'm doing now, in a sense, is I do want to create a human sanctuary. Is kind of in line with my initial dreams. I mean, now I came back to that because I left that. I actually it went from creating an amusement park, and then as I got older, I tried to analytically break that down, what that would require, and it was like being an engineer, and or maybe people told me that okay, you got to be an engineer, you got to take drafting classes, and I started doing that, and I in high school I was like doing that, and I was like, this stuff's boring, this is not what I like, so I kind of gave up on that whole amusement park thing, but then I realized that is actually because when I was young, that's what I would do was I'd go out and with my friends and stuff, I love the ground. I love getting like I'd make these like water rides. I'd dig holes and like turn the hose on and make these canals and stuff. I'd get really into like the landscaping, but we'd end up like digging up. I got kicked out of every one of my friends. My friends' parents would like kick me out because I dug up their yard and grass and like ruined it. But in my mind, I was like, I thought they would like it or something. Um, so I mean, it is creating a sanctuary or creating some sort of I mean, aesthetically, but just like connecting to this land. I guess that has stuck with me my whole life.
Okay, well,
I
the
abandoned
reason
it
why
for a
it's
second and came back to it, and I'm back there.
because I think that subconsciously, when we develop that image, we tend to develop it, groom, and I like to use the word grooming, planning for it, grooming. I'll give you my example. I think I've mentioned to you before that um, when we went back to Iran, and my father took us to his village, and it was like walking back 2,000 years in time. And I thought, damn, did you grow up here?
Yeah.
How did you get from here to flying planes to becoming, somebody, high up? How did that happen? And then so at that point, I said, okay, what does it take for a country to develop? And because I decided that at that point I wanted to, that was like maybe 11, 12, something like that. I wanted to become someone worthy of helping the country to grow, to become prosperous. So I was grooming myself for that position, which never happened because of the revolution took place and never could go back and all that stuff. But for many years, I was subconsciously really grooming myself, if you will, for what it takes to bring a third world country into the first world. There's a system, the education system, the health system, the financial system, the banking system, whatever, and the constitution and what it takes to become an ambassador, for example, or whatever. I was just kind of thinking that's what's going to be my future. It never happened, but I think that at some point we all have this vision or dream or hope or desire to be destined for whatever we hope for.
Mm-hmm.
And we eventually go that way, whether we know it or not. We may take these circuitous roads to it. We may go from here to here to there to there, but we eventually end up there, because unless we can reprogram our subconscious, re-image our self-image, we're going to go there. Mm-hmm. And the good news is that we can re-image our self-image. It does take work. It does take effort. But we can reprogram it. But unless and until we're aware of it and we're willing to put in the effort and time to change it, it's going to be what's going to run us. Now, for some of us, we're lucky and we have that wonderful blueprint. But I would say 99% of the people don't have it. They got the wrong feedback from society and their parents and other kids. And that's why only very few succeed. The rich kids, for example, they become rich not because they're any smarter than anybody, but because that's the blueprint they got.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, let me move on to some other self-images that you have. What about your physical appearance? What's your self-image of your physical appearance and your ability to present yourself and your elegance and your being debonair and being, just, your physical appearance? Because I believe that does speak a lot. To the observant eye, our physical appearance does matter to the observant eye. They make it, that's how we evolved. You need to quickly make a judgment on people by just looking at them.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say throughout school and in my 20s, I cared about being sexually attractive to girls. That was like most related to that. I've abandoned that, obviously. Now, no, but I mean, like now, I do have the now I almost don't. It's the opposite. I don't want to. I feel like I want to. Yeah, I want to look.
Now, what's your self-image?
Unconformity.
Don't tell me what you want to look like.
I don't want to be. I don't want to fit the.
Don't say what you don't want. Tell me what your self-image is.
I want to be natural wild man. I like my long hair, and I'm growing my hair out and beard and
Is that your self-image? Is that the image that you kind of have as a?
I've had for a long time. Yeah, there's like in high school there were some newspaper articles that talking about it, and yeah, I was always saying I want a long white beard, and the hair is new. The growing my hair long is recent, but yeah, no, I want to look. Now at the same time, I want to be presentable. I do actually shave a little. I haven't done that in a while. Shave a little line. I'm not. I don't want to be dirty head hair dreadlock from mange, and just like I do care about being presentable, but I don't you don't want to know what I don't want to do. No, I presentably, but when people see me, I like, this guy doesn't care what you think, but at the same time, there is an aspect of like, I do care what you think, because I'm trying to have that image. So my image is like, I don't need to conform to what I do. Actually, I have a chip on my shoulder about like, I want, like, I might go as far as intentionally not, wearing a tie or something in a situation where I'd be expected to, and that, like, so I don't know if that answers your question. I want to I want to have my own self image, and if I feel myself looking too much like somebody else, that might have been the reason why I'm growing my hair out too. I feel there were a lot of people with beards that were shaving their head, and I didn't like. So I'm like, I don't want to. That almost seemed like it was a trend that I didn't want to be. So yeah, I don't know if that. I know that's not a real specific, but I do. I mean, it's funny because yeah, I'm trying, in a way, I'm trying to fit the part of not caring by show. I mean, there is deliberate. I am deliberately creating my self image in the way that I want to be seen, and that is that, I don't, my, like, I wouldn't be willing to have a job where they said, oh no, you got to shave your beard or something, and I want that image to be shown in a way like that's like, you're not worth whatever you have to offer is not.
So you're rebelling? I mean, I don't understand.
um I don't know about rebellion, just I'm free. I mean, there's free. I want to be free. This is, I feel natural. I feel clothes, like, I hate uncomfortable clothes. And I like wearing the clothes. They don't have to match in color, because I don't really care about that. People always said, in high school, I remember there's girls that that basically, they said like they'd date me if I just knew how to match clothes. And I just thought that was so stupid. Like, I mean, isn't the object here to get naked anyway? So like, I mean, I mean, so clothes, hair, everything. Yeah, I'm not trying to, like, I guess it's important that I don't have to like look in mirrors or anything, and to look in
Well,
a,
CD, do you believe that how someone presents themselves physically, with their clothes, their hair, their beard, their fat, skinny, tall. Well, get tall, you can't do anything about that. But their physical appearance, does that? How much do you think that speaks about the person, or how little? In your mind, in your thinking, how much does that represent of the person, and how little does
a lot, it represents what, I mean, yeah, I mean, you're going to be judged on that, and and different people will judge you differently. Some people will judge somebody who holds himself up and is well groomed,
well, how
as
about
a
how
positive
you
thing,
judge
but
yourself?
some people would look at that as, I generally look at somebody that keeps himself tidy as a little bit like, that makes me uncomfortable. I don't feel like they're an authentic human being. The people I want to attract are the people like me that are just like, they're not going to care about things like that. So I
But
want to
wait a minute.
attract
Let me
people like
ask you,
that.
why do you think it's fake or inauthentic for someone to take good care of themselves and look well groomed? Now you can look well. You can look well groomed and take good care of yourself and just be in a t-shirt and a pair of shorts.
Sure.
So and you can still be authentic. I mean, I personally like to. I mean, I don't look at myself in the mirror all the time. I don't, I grow my beard out like I shave once a week.
Yeah.
But um, for me, for
Yeah, that's
my
authentic.
own,
That's authentic. If every time I meet a man and he's always clean shaven, baby faced, perfect haircut, how much time are you wasting on that? I mean, it's a different. I'm sure in the business world that matters. You're meeting people, and in my lifestyle, it that would I would be uncomfortable around somebody that always had this that. Okay, that's what I say. That you change from day to day. Like someday my hair's wet, some days my hair's dry, someday I have my tooth in, and this bothered me too. Like I lost that in 2004, and I am wearing this because it's like I am trying to get some sort of following maybe and to join me. I'm thinking like, maybe the first impression is better not this way. But actually, I never wear my tooth. I never wear my tooth in public. I only wear it. I teach with it, and I do these videos with it. And sometimes I question myself like, why? That's not the real me. So I'm thinking I am saying I'm being inauthentic, but it's like it's actually I do kind of speak with a lisp a little bit. I can't say my th sounds that well. I make all these excuses. So anyway, that's one issue. So I'm not saying that it's good to look good, but I guess to always look the same. So is inauthentic, like because we wake up different night. I mean, if you always have the same haircut and same attire and stuff, I guess so. It's like I would like to see somebody. Yeah, I want to see their 5 o'clock shadows. Sometimes it's like, how could somebody's life be so repetitive that you're able to look the same throughout a long period of time? Maybe so. So I guess.
Well, for me,
I do look
personally, my physical appearance has nothing. I don't care about what other people think.
Mm-hmm.
It's all for me.
Okay.
It's for me to feel like I look good for myself. Now, someone else may look at me and say, whatever they think. I like the saying.
How often do you look at yourself? I mean, how is that? Is it really first?
Often I look at myself in the mirror in the morning, when I wash my face and brush my hair. And when I brush my teeth at night, I probably, I'm not one of those people who looks at myself in the mirror that much. Maybe 2-3 times a day, but only because I got to wash my face. I mean, I don't have to look at myself, but I think it's good. I do judge my feelings, my health by my appearance. For me, it's a feedback. Yeah. It's an instant feedback.
Your skin and stuff. I mean, definitely. Yeah, no, for sure. I agree with that. So I mean,
so I maybe be honest with you. When I was younger, I didn't care. As I'm getting older, and I'm going to turn 65 in 8 days, it's more important for me to gauge my health more. When I was your age, never got sick. Jump out of bed, it's like I wasn't even in my body. Actually, I'm still pretty much that way, but I have to be more cognizant and more aware of maintaining my health. And so one way of doing that is how I physically look and appear. So for me, that's a way of knowing that I'm maintaining my health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also, and one reason why we're attracted to other people, when we say a girl is sexy, what we really mean is that she's healthy
and fertile. Yeah,
for anyone, for any girl, when a woman says, "Oh, he's attractive," it's because he's healthy. Unattractive. Yeah, for sure, yeah. If someone is not attractive, it's probably because they got some kind of an illness or sickness, or it's mostly for procreation, really. So sure. A woman has got this hourglass shape. Why are we attracted to that? Obviously, it's because she's able to carry children. She's healthier for that. Yeah. Or for a man, he's got broad shoulders. And obviously, he's going to have stronger genes. So even our physical appearance is a sign of physical health.
Mm-hmm. No,
but also for ourselves. I mean, I'd like to look good for myself, just for myself. If someone else finds that interesting or good, that's fine too. But as I said, it's none of my business what other people think about me. I like that saying. It's none of my business. How much do you care? You talked about this. You did talk about how you wanted to win people over. Is that still an image you have of yourself?
I mean, it's. I think that I'm not in that situation now, but I think that is probably if I were to, for instance, as you know, we're homeschooling Chaya, but if he wants to go to school, at some point, we'll let him go to school. And in that case, I might teach. So I'm saying I could be in that situation again if I were to, you know, go to school, or like, because there's a nice school that they have like a real alternative learning style that I'd want to get to. It's pretty expensive, and they'd probably offer free tuition. If I taught there, I might apply there or something. Anyway, if I were in that situation, I would click back in that. I'm not now. I'm pretty much, yeah. I don't. I'm not in that situation. Like going, I don't feel that way going to the mall or going shopping or anything like that. But I do. If I were going to join a new social group, I probably would. Yeah, I still have that in me, but I haven't. That's the entire time I've lived here in Chiang Mai, the last 4 or 5 years, that I haven't. That hasn't occurred. But I think it's still in me. I think if I were ever to join some sort of group in some form, I'd jump back in that mode. Maybe it's hard to say.
Sure.
It's interesting.
It's
Actually,
subconscious. It's subconscious. You
yeah,
just,
it's hard to say. We'll have to
because
see. But
we don't even think about it. We just go into, well, we have to. It would be too much. It would be asking too much of ourselves to say, how do I act? How do I act? How do I behave? It's like, no, it's
yeah,
way too much. You just act the way you got,
yeah.
the self-image you have.
I mean, there is. I mean, having a son has changed me tremendously, and I would even argue, based even. I look at evolution and genetics much deeper than the modern scientific model of like random disbursement of traits, and like kind of fixed, the idea of fixed traits that aren't I believe strongly that, yeah, my a lot of conceptual, well, for like the sexual thing, for example, I have become less, like I believe it makes sense evolutionary. Of course, it's like, okay, we're still genes. Of course, we're men. There's always some sort of aspect that's looking to procreate, and you're going to be attracted to girls that walk by, ass, wobbling around your face or something. But it's like it's like although there's a logical aspect to it, realizing like this is that there is no advantage really for me. My most, like my family right now is evolutionarily, of course, there's the argument that men can just bounce around and have a lot of children, and that would be the best rate to have, some of your genes getting passed on there. But I believe it is much more spiritual than that, and having a family and focusing on this is like my everything has changed my self-image. And that's the one you haven't got to, is I guess, yeah, that might be maybe that was the senior you're waiting for, is like me as a father. I mean, I'm that's huge.
What
Right
is
now.
your self-image of your father as a father?
Yeah, that's the biggest one. I mean, that's huge. That's the biggest one on my consciousness. I mean, I compare myself to my father and my mother and my friends. I mean,
What is the image you have of yourself as a parent?
yeah, that's I mean, that's
I was going to get to that, but go
yeah, I
ahead.
imagine you were. I mean, that's what's on my mind the most all the time. I mean, it just consumes me, and as a husband, equally, or as one. Like, it's hard to separate those two for me. I don't know. I think a husband without a child is like, I don't know. I don't think I would be in a monogamous relationship without a child. It seems kind of pointless and stuff. Maybe that's weird. Maybe it's
No,
something I don't
actually, that
know.
makes a lot of sense. That's
But
evolution.
it's to me, it's family. So I have a part in my family, and it's, yeah, it's the husband and father is inseparable. It's something that I mean, it's constant. That's my probably my
So,
uh
what is your self-image as a father? I mean, what of a parent? What you're caring, you're loving, you're nurturing, you're strict, you're forgiving, you're tolerant. What kind of
yeah,
image you have
yeah.
of you?
I mean, encouraging, encouraging,
Not what you want, but this is the image you have of
No, no.
yourself.
Oh, okay. Okay. What I believe I am, or
Yes, yes. What you believe you are, not
um,
what you want to be.
yeah, 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 yeah. I believe I'm competent. I,
That's
I believe
fine.
I'm
Whatever
competent.
comes
I
out,
believe I'm
whatever comes out.
competent. That's what counts. I believe I'm competent, but it's. I mean, there's, it's. Uh, I mean, that it. Yeah, that's it's.
Well, you have doubt.
I'm critical.
You
I'm critical of myself for sure.
yeah, you have doubt, which is fine. I mean, everyone's got doubts about are they doing the right thing or not. That's probably pretty normal.
Mhm.
So, what other images you believe? Yeah, what is the image you believe you are or have of your parenting of a parent?
Wait, so what? I mean, that gets deep. That gets. It's hard to say. I mean, yeah, I know. I'm always. I mean, it's.
Again, forget
I'm
about
not
what
at
you
loss
want to be,
of
how you are, your image,
thinking.
your
It's hard
self-image
to
of you.
put. I mean, I'm constantly. I don't know if I've nailed it down. I mean, I right now it's just what I'm. Like I said, I'm. It's so tough.
You
It's so
think
tough. Not
you think
because I'm at loss of ideas. There's just all these things are coming out. I mean,
oh, what's coming out? Wow. Okay.
I
All right.
mean,
Well, I'll give you some time.
okay.
Let it percolate.
I mean, it's hard to separate what I see myself as, and is all everything that's coming out is just what I'm aspiring to be. It's hard to nail down. That's the only one that I was able to just come out is like I do believe I'm competent. I'm not. I don't think I'm. Uh, um, I'm satisfied with everything. But I'm then there's all these things. What I want to be, how I can improve. That I'm critical on every my patients. I'm critical on patience or time. Sometimes I uh, come to the office and do podcasts when I probably should be playing with my son. But no, I mean, I've created this lifestyle where I'm able to not have to go to work, and I do spend more time than probably a lot of fathers are able to. But then at
Mhm.
the same time, sometimes I think, am I doing enough? And then sometimes when I do spend time, there's I'm I get I mean, naturally, Chaya is more dependent on ice, and sometimes if if he gets yeah, sometimes he it's hard to know how much. Again, I look at it from the evolutionary perspective. Am I there too much? Is making him sometimes, yeah. Sometimes he
What
pushes
is
me
your
away.
self-image? What is your self-image?
That's a tough one. I help clarify. It
All right.
was easy. It was easy on
Okay.
the other image, on the other questions. I mean, I'm having
Okay.
struggles.
All right. Let me throw some out so you can see. Are you lenient or are you more strict or more lenient as a self-image? Or example.
Lenient, definitely more lenient. Yeah, maybe too lenient.
Okay.
Yeah,
Too lenient. Okay. So as a self-image,
more
do you
lenient.
think you're encouraging
Definitely encouraging.
or
I did. I'm encouraging and lenient
encouraging?
and open and stuff. I mean, these are qualities I can say for sure, but I
How
don't know.
about ability to let him know your love?
Yeah, yeah, maybe too much. He gets uncomfortable sometimes when I get
Really?
too. Yeah, 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 yeah.
He gets uncomfortable when you shower him with too much love.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. He
Wow.
doesn't say if I tell him when I tell him I love him, he says no, only mama. I love mama, and I said yes, I know that's okay that you can love mama, but I can still love you and you love mama. No, only mama. I love mama, and then I can get him to say okay, well that's okay. Do you love me a little bit? He says okay, and then if I ask him to give me a hug, he says no, and I just say medium hug, and then he'll come and give me a hug. So
Wow. This smacks of the Oedipus complex. Wow. Um,
uh, yeah, but in some ways I do feel that I do. I mean, I actually like Freud. I think there is in there is I actually think that makes like I don't want to encourage him too much. I feel that he is kind of drawing some boundaries between like you're a man. So yeah, okay. I don't know if this answers the self image, but sometimes I actually feel like I am giving him like sometimes I feel this is weird, but I feel like he's telling him like, go be a man, like stop, you know. I
Don't
always
do
feel,
it.
I feel like sometimes he doesn't want that emotional bond with me, even though he's definitely mama's boy in this way. He's easy to be affectionate and crybaby to his mama, but with me, he's the one trying to like. I know a lot of the times I see some of my friends growing up, they'd be really hard on their sons, like right from the beginning. I'm like, he's got to be a man, you know, and like, and to me, I'm just thinking, like, well, yeah, he has to be a man eventually, but he's a baby, like, so I'm probably, yeah, I feel like that I'm overly soft maybe on him.
Well, can I say something?
Yeah,
I think he needs to, it takes a village to raise a child. I think he needs to be around other people. He's spending, in my opinion, and forgive me for saying this, he's spending way too much time with ice.
yeah, oh
I
shoot,
mean,
yeah,
I mean, it's good. It's good in some ways, but at the same time, the attachment becomes the bond becomes.
yeah, absolutely.
You need the bond to be
Yeah,
spread
we've
around.
actually just we've got a play date set up on the homeschool network with some of the old. It's been hard. Well, COVID made it hard when he was young. I mean, it's so weird. Some kids were like little kids his age were wearing like face masks and stuff. It was really difficult there. We do go out. We've done the homeschool network groups, and he does. Luckily, he is very social. He definitely needs. He is naturally social, and yeah, I agree 100%. And we are working on that.
Yeah, he needs to be around other kids,
Yeah,
other
no, we
adults,
we
other
we all
yeah.
we
I mean, you don't
we
have, unfortunately, you don't have any relatives, uh, because it would be nice too to pass
I
it
do
on to an
actually have a
uncle or
cousin, but things aren't going well with his relation, and they have a son that's a little younger, but unfortunately they're going through some
it's a different thing. Well,
some
it's interesting because like cultures are different. Like in the Iranian culture, people don't say "I love you" to their kids. It's just like a weird thing to say.
yeah, Thai too.
Uh,
I don't think. Well,
and
yeah.
Thai maybe also, yeah. So it's more about actually physically showing the love
Yeah.
instead of like saying, "I
Oh
love you."
yeah,
It's like,
I show
that would be
he
way
I
too
think I
weird.
show it too much almost. So like he gets a little
It's interesting because, well, all right, that's
gets
well.
uncomfortable, I think.
I think if you're going to do one or the other, it's better to show more than not enough. If you're going to go extreme or go
Yeah.
overboard on one side or the other,
Yeah.
it's much better to go towards showering her with love, more love than less love. If
Yeah.
you had a choice, obviously, happy
Yeah,
medium is better.
I'll probably ease up. I probably won't kiss him on his forehead and hair as much when he's 16, 17 years old and he's bringing his
Oh,
girlfriend.
hell no.
No, I'm just kidding. No, of course not. No, I mean I will like go through stages where I treat him more like a man, but he's still my little baby right now. So
Oh yeah, he's 4 years old. How old is he now?
three and a half. He just turned three and a
Three and
half.
a half.
So,
Oh, okay. Okay, very sweet. All right, let's move on real
sure.
quickly. That's good. So I think you have a fairly well. No, you never did really come out and say. You're still kind of vague on what kind of image you have of yourself as a parent.
Yeah,
But
maybe. I mean, yeah, I get it is hard because I mean,
the
there's
thing,
an
the thing
aspect of
you
me
want to
that's
remember.
helicopter. Like I want to watch over him, and then the other area is like I want him to be free
The
and
thing
kind
you
of
want to remember, CD, is not so much how you want to be, although that's pretty important too if you're always aware of it. But with the self-image you have as a parent, because that's what's going to be automatically happening, unless you are very, very conscious every time you're with him, and then you can consciously reprogram that image you have of yourself as a parent.
I am very conscious. I mean, this is something that I am very thankful for that I didn't have children younger, even with Ice, and of course he had two miscarriages, and I would want them obviously and wanted them, but like I said, we wouldn't have. We were in Phuket during both those times. It would have been hard to start the lifestyle we've started, and we might still be living in an apartment, going to school, doing a regular job, just trying to make things work. So, so and I believe Ice is spiritual as she is. I mean, literally, it wasn't until we bought this land, bought this little tiny room, $6,000 portable house that is now my office, and she got conceived in that moment because she felt it was the right place. I definitely think it was too. I mean, not as a compliment to myself, but the environment I am able to. I don't think everyone necessarily would be able to take advantage of this situation, but I think I have a situation that most people wouldn't have. I mean, including myself, like I said, in Phuket, if I wouldn't be able to be as good of a father as I am now, or as, I mean, I say good. I'm very conscious. Actually, when you said that, that gave me an identity. I'm probably as mindful as I can be. I mean, I constantly think about it. That's all. I mean, I'm here all day. I'm very conscious of the way our relationship. I'm always analyzing it, perhaps over analyzing it. Like, how are I try to be friendly with him. Sometimes sometimes I try to talk to him, like, try to get on his level. Then I think, okay, wait, is that right? Should I be doing that? Should I, you know, am I'm the father? How much authority do I need to provide him with the guidance that he needs and respect that he needs? I don't want him to think that we're just, buddies. So it's like I'm always thinking about how I am actually. So I guess the most important thing now is, of course, we can change our self-conception, but in what everything you're saying right now is just how important it is as a parent that I'm providing him to develop the right self-concept.
Absolutely, absolutely. Self-concept so much. You know, um, when it comes to kids, it's you never know. You never know if you're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. Um, I was going to say something and I totally forgot. Your child, your self-image of damn, it just escaped me. Escaped me. Um, mm, and it was so good, CD.
I bet it was.
Uh, let me think. It'll probably come to me. What you were talking about? How you talk to him, or
Yeah,
oh
I'm
yeah,
saying
yeah.
I was conscious
Okay,
on my
I got it.
relationship with them, of what is I am actually, so I am always thinking about how is he looking at me, like who does he think I am, like how does he understand what a father is. And sometimes I feel like he does. Like sometimes I literally, like, and this could just be completely, I might be just fabricating this in my mind, but sometimes I feel like he's like drawing lines, like, where, like, okay, you're getting a little too lovey-dovey with me, go away. I sometimes I feel so. I I don't know how much does he innately know my position, like because there is evolution. I mean, a father is the father from pure evolutionary mind. Like, maybe I'm around too much. Like, aren't you? Shouldn't you be gathering nuts for us or something? I mean, I don't know. So I'm always visualizing how he's viewing our relationship, and how.
Well, CD, the fact that you're doing these 6.5, 8 hour podcasts may be a reason that subconsciously it's because you realize he doesn't need you around as much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe he thinks I've been, you know, killing some game or
Let
something.
me let me say this about children, in my opinion. Now, I don't have any kids, but I believe they can serve as one of our best teachers.
Mhm.
That in fact they are there to help us grow. They are our teachers, basically to be more patient, more tolerant,
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
more accepting,
oh yeah. I mean,
more
I've
yeah, yeah, more
I
or less of everything.
I
I mean,
can I can honestly say I've never no other person has my unconditional love.
well, that for sure, that for sure.
But yeah, not even there. No, I mean, that's like, I wouldn't even understand. I could tell you, you don't know what unconditional love is. Just, I mean, how could you? I mean,
Right.
you can imagine it, but I heard it. I heard it my whole life, and I always heard, because I had a lot of friends, obviously, in their 20s, they're getting kids, and they'd tell me like, "Oh, you have no idea," and I always just kind of like, I mean, it's a cliche, but
It changes you.
there isn't.
Yeah.
It's something you can't. There's no way. I still, even though I heard it all my life, everyone always said, you'd have no idea. It's still. It's. I mean, how could you have the? And that's what it is. It's an unconditional love, is something I've never felt before.
Something else. Yeah. I know. I've heard of, I've seen, women whose son commits a heinous crime,
That's
maybe,
yeah.
and they still love that child,
How could you not?
regardless. That's unconditional love.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
the kid went out and did some really horrible. I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
that's just the love that
yeah.
is
And,
unconditional.
and that is a good quality because I mean it obviously yeah to an extreme. I mean it would be nice to have that for humanity, and I mean just, I mean I mean that would
Actually,
almost.
that would be for not just humanity, but for all living things.
Oh yeah, I mean that would be like I mean that's like yeah that's wow unconditional just love. I mean that wow boom
That would be awesome. In fact, that should be the only kind of love. When it's
yeah.
conditional, that's not
It,
love anymore.
exactly. It might be that it's might that just might be a redundancy. I mean, yeah, is it love if it's not unconditional? I mean, obviously the yeah, I mean, it has to surpass my love for ice in a way, and just saying that, just being realistic, although obviously ice is a close second and nobody even compares to that, but it's still the child is there is a degree of unconditional love. It's different. It's different. I don't, and I'm sure ice feels the same way about me. I mean, it's a different type of feeling. I mean, I do still think I have unconditional love for Isaac. If she could, I'm trying to think if she like went and murdered somebody, I'd still love her. I mean, but like,
What if
uh,
she went and cheated on you?
oh yeah, yeah. I think yeah, but that's a good. I'd definitely be more judgmental on her than. I'd still think there'd be unconditional love, but I it doesn't compare to it doesn't compare to Chayado. No, no, no. I mean
Well,
that
I mean, it depends on the conditions. So, I mean, if
yeah.
you went and lost and they thought that you were dead, and then she had to, she
Oh
found
yeah, no,
someone.
no. I'd
Then
hope
it
that
all depends on
would be
yeah.
able to.
It's a hypothetical
Yeah, yeah,
question.
yeah. I
Let,
mean,
let me let me ask you another question, which is kind of moving a little bit differently. But what is your self image of your highest self? That if you were, and I don't want to use the word self actualized,
yeah.
but what that the highest version of yourself, the greatest version of yourself, what would that look like? What is that image you have of like this is I have really achieved the ultimate in version of myself?
I mean, yeah. The Buddha is. I mean, I can't help that just came to mind. I mean, it sounds cheesy, but
To
that's
become like a Buddha, to become Buddha like?
yeah, yeah.
Which
I
is
have.
what?
I
Describe
mean,
that.
now that wouldn't. I don't. I think he did it a little too soon. I don't think it's. I mean, I still. I I think that it can be all that matters is that I achieve that like at the moment of death, and I could wait till the end, and I think it's easier when you're older. So I'm not trying to be the Buddha right now. But that's that as an image. Is that what your question was like my self
Yeah.
actualization? That is in my like that's kind of I visualize I want to leave this world as that would be. I mean that would be that image. That's the
Which
image
is
I
what?
have.
Which is
I
what?
have the image. I mean I literally and it sounds cheesy, but I literally have the image of meditating and consciously mahasamati basically and just leaving this world. I mean that is my absolute. That's what I hope to achieve.
And in perfect health.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Just let just
Interesting you say that because that's kind of how I would like to go. I would like to go as in perfect health or as close to it as possible, and for it to be the best day of my life.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. Yeah, I'm glad you were able to. Last time we've talked about that you had less of a
Well,
you must have
I
been
hadn't really.
it must have something I said must have got you thinking about it. Yeah, I mean I right. I mean
Yeah,
we should
I
have it. I mean there's no reason. Of course, love. Of course, death is uncertain when and where and how. But it's like, yeah, why wouldn't we at least want to have
well,
an ideal way to
I tell
go?
you how I came to that. I came to that from that very question I asked you. What is the highest version of myself? And really, it's to be happier or more joyful or more fulfilled or more content or just the best of what how I want to be every day, every day, every day, today, tomorrow, the next day. That's it's not the self image I have from the past, but it's the one that I am cultivating now. because as I said, we could reprogram that. My highest would have been if I in the past would have been like, just some ego trip, where I am an ambassador or
Uh-huh.
some high official, it's an ego thing, really.
Sure.
That doesn't necessarily, actually, by any stretch, mean that you're fulfilled or you're happy
Sure.
or you're content or you're peaceful or whatnot. Um, so, yeah, for me, it would be that every day is the best day of my life, including the day I die.
Hmm.
So, anyway, and I want to wrap this up if you don't mind. Let me just ask you one, and maybe this is not the best one to end with, so I may follow up this one. But what self-limiting belief do you have?
I mean, the one that I mean, it. I mean, I guess the money thing that I guess that I mean, see, I mean, I go back and forth with it. The At the same time, I feel like, I mean, deep down in my side, the whole monetary system is, I hate, I don't want, I mean, I feel like there is an aspect to it that I want to just disconnect from. I mean, I would love, and I would love to be just self-sustaining. I almost have this image. I know it's kind of going off tangent what you said. It's like the field of dreams, like you build it, they will come. I feel like I'm doing the right thing. Um, just I don't know exactly where it's going, but I believe that I don't I don't know if that's true or not, but I don't believe that money actually matters. I believe that if I do exactly what I'm doing, and if I needed money, people would recognize the value of what I'm doing and how they could benefit from it, and they donate or something. I feel like it wouldn't. I don't feel like it's ever going to be an issue. I don't feel.
Okay, that's good. I love it. I love it. That's your self-image. That's wonderful. It's like money is never going to be an issue,
Yeah. Okay.
and that you always will be provided, or you always have a means to achieve it.
And I always have, even though I've been homeless
And
and
you always have.
have no food, but it always came. Like when I was living in the gym, training, I just like post something. Hey guys, I need
Okay,
rice.
good.
People
Good.
would come with rice. So it's like, I mean,
So that's not a self-limiting belief. I don't believe.
okay, but I guess the self-limiting beliefs that I would ever be. I don't see
Oh, I see.
ever being
Financially,
like
like a
having like
millionaire.
a million. Yeah,
Millionaire.
yeah. I don't know if that's that I whether I believe I can or like I feel like there is a limit. I don't know what the limit is if it's a success or failure or that I'm worth it. I mean, that there's definitely it stresses me out to just think about it that and maybe that's cop out. It's definitely out of everything we've talked about. It is the most questionable thing that I'm willing to challenge and wonder, but at the same time, it does always come back to the fact that I really don't I'm not concerned. I don't feel like not having money will ever stress me out. But at the same time, it's like, well, wouldn't you want to have $1 million? And I think, well, yeah. So okay, and if you're worth it, why don't you get it? So that's the balance of the battle. I go back and forth. Like, is it
Well, it's
worth?
interesting because I feel the same actually when it comes to it. My self-limiting belief about money is that it's beneath me. That it's beneath me to go and make money. It's not like it's like that's I'm too good for that.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's a cop out. No, that's kind of how I feel too, and something I feel like it's a cop out because there's an aspect of fear of succeeding and fear of um uh rejection. So I don't want to disregard those as also in the equation, but I do, at least for my as a self defense mechanism, I do think making money is.
Okay, all right. Well, there might be some truth to that. Sure,
Yeah.
sure, sure. For me, I think it's different because I have made money,
Mhm.
um, and I've lost it, and I've made it again and lost it again. And now I'm okay. I would like to have more money, um, and maybe I will, depending on how things go forward, and maybe not. But I've always thought of it as it's beneath me. It's like it should not. It should not consume my thoughts. It's an image I have cultivated, as I mentioned, way back when. It's like if I'm worthy, if I'm good enough, the money will come.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, if you build it, they will come.
Yeah,
It's
I kind of visualize it. I mean, I visualize something. Yeah, yeah, I visualize. Yeah, so yeah, I think.
well, that's good. That's good. Well, CD, you have been very coachable, and you've been very forthright. Um, we didn't really get into the deeper, darker side of things, like your fears and your
Yeah,
worries and your
yeah.
anxiety. But we could do that some other
We
time
could
if
do that
you're
in a sauna or something, or yeah, maybe.
yeah.
Those are. I mean, there are. I was talking to my Native American friend that they do this thing where they're like they go like 3 days no water in the sauna or something, and and have all these like
I see where they break down physically and
yeah, but
you're
they
vulnerable
connect
and then
with the spiritual world and stuff. I mean, I'd be into something like that, or maybe have to do some ayahuasca to get there. I mean, I'm open to it, but I think it might be harder to open those doors. Maybe I don't know. I don't think I'm guarded. I mean, I'm but challenge. I mean, yeah. No, I mean, I'm welcome to you to try to get into there. I want to be in there. Actually, that's one of the things is I'm doing this podcast. I'm trying to just like break down stuff. I don't want there to be anything. I want to be able to anything. I mean, these are long ass podcasts. I know very few people would listen to all or any of. I mean, but the fact that it's out there, I want there. It doesn't matter if my mother, my wife, my son listens to something I say. Like I don't want to have to not say something in public. At the same time, it's reasonable to say, okay, is radical honesty can be maybe a little too much. Some things do need to be private and stuff like that. So, I mean, maybe to go there, if we're going to go real dark, we would just, be in a sauna and not record it. But at the same time, I don't believe that I do have anything so dark that I wouldn't be willing to
your
talk about it. But I mean,
your shame,
shame.
guilt.
Yeah, no, yeah. There, I mean, no, I mean, there's not deep things. I'd say just every psychological abuse that I guess, I mean, this term gaslighting is quite popular. I definitely gaslighted some of my relationships in the past and unknowingly. Now, right, in reflection, it wasn't an intentional psychological abuse, but and it was because of my own, that would have been, like I mentioned before, as far as like not in my 20s, I was not, like into monogamy. I was honest about it, luckily, but like I would, I would like, because of my actions, I would like look at people differently in my relationships. I'd get jealous because of, my, who I am and stuff like that. But that gets all deep, but it's nothing too, I'm comfortable talking about it. I don't think I did anything. I never did anything too drastic. I just really like looking back and like, I was kind of making people feel bad, but nothing I'm shameful of to a degree that it's just growing. And I grew from it. I mean, yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to
so
give
it's not pestering you. Okay. It's not okay. Let me leave you with this, CD.
Okay.
Emerson once said that
Robert Emerson, Wallace Pond, Henry David Thoreau, that era.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You become what you think about most of the time. You become what you think about most of the time. Now, what's interesting is that when you're around Chaya, you are very cognizant. You're very aware of your thoughts, of how you're being. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned to you before, he is your teacher. So that could carry over into everything else you're doing. Because if you're around him for an hour or two and you're aware of how you're being and what you're thinking when you're with him, that will also help you when you're in the farm or with other people or anywhere else you are.
Oh, yeah, when I'm teaching too. Yeah.
When you're teaching,
I have more compassion for my students.
When you're well, I guess more compassion, but what I meant was that you're much more aware of how you're being.
Okay, yeah.
At all times, which is really what I strive to do and be, because that's when we can reprogram and we can recreate that image, that self-image. And then that will just run automatically. So again, first we create the habits, and then the habits create us. So first we create the self-image, or unfortunately when we're kids, it's created for us. Yeah. And then the self-image creates us. But we can also reprogram that self-image by being aware of how we're being. And it's about being really more than doing. And so when you're around your son, he is your teacher. He is helping you become much more aware of how you're being. And then that will also help you to be much aware of how you're being at all times. And then that will help you create that new blueprint, that new self-image that you want. And then you will subconsciously, automatically move towards or be and move towards that image.
Sure. Yeah. That sounds
All right. Thanks, CD. I really appreciate your time.
thank you. I appreciate your uh free life coach. Now that was free?
That was, well, the check's in the mail.
uh, no, that was I mean, yeah. I mean, yeah, no, I appreciate it. You did touch up a little bit on some of yours. I think your life story would be wonderful to have shared in my little podcast community of, each podcast gets 6 or 7 views maybe, and that doesn't mean they're listening through all the way through. They're probably going to listen to about 10 minutes or something. But anyway, I do make these little clips. I'm spending more time on the clips. We definitely had some zingers to make a 10-minute segment of just nothing but zingers. And then if anybody wants to listen to our whole conversation, I think they would be deeply enlightened by your insight. And
well, very good. Well, thank you for that compliment. I'll appreciate that. It made my day.
Good. All right. Well,
actually, CD, one of the things that I'm thinking about is, what we discussed earlier of every day being the best day of my life, or basically being a great day for me. And I was thinking, how do I do that? What is it that I need to do in order to have that? Actually, not to do. It's more about being. What is it I have? How is it do I have to be? And one of the things is to remove many things from my life, as opposed to like this cell phone, the smartphone.
Oh yeah.
So it's like people go on a diet. They go onto a carnivore diet, for example, and they lose a lot of weight or they get healthy. It's not because all of a sudden they started eating only meat. It's because they removed all the other junk that was making them sick.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm removing a lot of things, but also connecting with people like yourself and people who I enjoy having good conversation with and are uplifting. And that is important. Connections are important. We are human. We are, after all, social beings. And it's very helpful for me to actually have this talk with you as well.
Good. I'm glad. Yeah, no, 100%. That's essential. And sometimes that social media aspect is like a kind of a teaser, a fake. It's like you get just enough to kind of not like you kind of follow people that, like, I had a couple of podcasts with some old friends that I hadn't sat down and had a conversation in over a decade, and yet I knew kind of what was going on in their life, and we've posted, comment on a little post, but it's like that's so shallow to have, but it would almost be, but it was enough to not have that conversation, and so yeah, I appreciate this. This is valuable. I hope it inspires other people to reach out, even if they're, reach out to other people. Yeah. And whoever is important in your life, man. Yeah. Reach out, have a deep conversation.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
All right. Take good care, and we'll be in touch.
All right. Good.
All right, brother.
I'm going, brother. I love you. Bye-bye.
Love you too, man. So long.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.